Hey guys, today we've got a story that is absolutely electric. Paige Coughlin just walked away with a massive $40,000 payday by winning the unfinished business event at Maple Grove, and the way she did it is something we all need to talk about. Buckle up, because this isn't just a race recap. This is the kind of story that shows you exactly what grit, determination, and execution look like at the highest levels of racing. Before we dive into Paige's incredible run, let's talk about the landscape. The unfinished business event was no ordinary race. This wasn't your typical no prep king stop where the lights go down and the rules are tight. No, this was wide open, unlimited power, clock on, big money, high stakes racing. Fans were on the edge of their seats all weekend long. The timing boards were lit up, showing every number, every mile per hour, every margin of victory. And trust me, when you can see the raw data, it changes the whole energy. It wasn't about speculation, it was about proof. These cars were running mid to high 3.70s down the strip at over 200 miles an hour in conditions that weren't even perfect. Think about that for a second. 200 miles per hour in a door car, fighting the track, the elements, and your opponent all at once. That's not just driving, that's controlling chaos. And in that chaos, Paige Coughlin found her moment. Let's set the scene. It's the final round. Paige Coughlin versus Sean Ellington, Murder Nova himself. On paper, this is a heavyweight clash. Murder Nova had already been blistering the track all weekend, laying down a 3.70 at 207 miles per hour. That's insane. In fact, he had the fastest elapsed time of the event going into that final round. If you're betting, if you're just looking at numbers, you probably had your money on Murder Nova. But here's the thing about drag racing, the fastest car doesn't always win. And that's why this sport keeps us hooked. When the tree dropped, Murder Nova got a little loose. That's all it takes, a tiny slip, a little wiggle, and Paige, cool as ice, blasted down her lane straight and true. Her car clicked off a 3.77 at over 200 miles per hour. That was enough to seal the deal, take out one of the legends of the sport, and cash that $40,000 check. Think about what that means. Paige Coughlin didn't just win a race. She won this race, against this opponent, in front of a crowd that was watching every fraction of a second on the scoreboard. That's history right there. Now, let's geek out a little bit. Paige's combination is a ProCharger setup, brutal, efficient, and proven. From what we can tell, she's not running nitro stacked on top of it like some of the other teams experimenting with hybrids. And still, she's running mid 3.70s. That's scary fast. For context, let's roll back the clock. In the last couple of NPK seasons, season 6 and 7, most of these cars were running high 3.70s to low 3.80s, and that was without the clocks. Fans could only guess based on how hard a car pulled, how quick it looked, and maybe some insider whispers from the pits. But here, we've got proof. We know exactly what Paige ran. And in a field where everybody is trying to squeeze out every tenth, Paige was right there in the thick of it, trading blows with the very best. And while Paige's victory was the headline, the weekend was full of moments that made Maple Grove unforgettable. On Friday, Carson Baker and the Speedo Cheeto pulled off a huge upset, taking the big tire shootout for $10,000. With Ryan Martin calling the shots as crew chief, Carson's car was dialed in and running 3.70s like it was nothing. That's the beauty of these open format events. You get to see new faces, new combinations, and new stories. It's not always the usual suspects taking home the trophies. Sometimes, it's the hungry teams, the ones with something to prove, who rise to the occasion. Let's zoom out and really think about what Paige Coughlin accomplished here. She's not just another driver. She represents the next generation of racers who are carving out their space in a world dominated by legends. Her family name carries weight in motorsports, but Paige is writing her own chapter. Taking down Murder Nova in a $40,000 final isn't just a payday, it's a statement. It tells the racing world, I belong here. I can run with the best. I can win against the best. And it's not like Paige lucked into this. She's been grinding. She came into No Prep Kings in 2022, worked her way up through the future class, and by 2023 she was in the Invitational, going rounds against veterans. She's been in semifinals and finals, but that elusive big win hadn't come in the invitational world yet. This Maple Grove victory is her proof of concept. It's validation for the work, the late nights, the sacrifices, and the belief that she could make it happen. So, where does this take her? Well, momentum is everything in racing. A win like this fuels confidence, gives the team data, and puts fear in the minds of competitors. When Paige pulls up next to someone on the starting line now, they're not thinking, here's the rookie trying to prove herself. They're thinking, she just beat Murder Nova for $40,000, if I slip up, I'm going home. That psychological edge is massive. And don't forget, Paige already announced she's building a new car for the 2025 season. Combine a new, dialed-in setup with the confidence of a marquee win, and you've got the recipe for a breakout year. I wouldn't be surprised if 2025 is the season Paige finally captures her first invitational win in No Prep Kings, maybe even cracks the top of the standings. She's got the team, the resources, and now, the experience of beating the best when it mattered most. Here's the thing, guys. Racing is about speed, but it's also about seizing opportunities. Murder Nova had the quickest car, no doubt. But Paige Coughlin had the consistency, the composure, and the execution when it mattered. That's the difference between being fast and being a winner. Her story at Maple Grove is a reminder that in racing, and in life, it doesn't matter how many times you come close. What matters is that when the spotlight is on you, you rise to the occasion and deliver. Paige did exactly that, and now she's $40,000 richer and a whole lot more dangerous going into the future. Now let's really dive deeper into why this victory hit so hard across the racing community. Paige Coughlin didn't just walk into a small local race and pick up a win. She entered an event stacked with some of the toughest names in modern drag racing. Guys like Murder Nova, who has been a face of Street Outlaws since the very beginning, came ready with some of the fastest passes we've ever seen in an open format race. The fact that Paige came out on top shows that she's not intimidated by names, reputations, or past records. She's laser focused on doing her job at the line. That mindset separates contenders from champions. Another thing we need to talk about is pressure. Think about it. Paige lined up against Murder Nova in the finals with $40,000 on the line, fans watching, clocks lit up, and her reputation on the line. That moment could rattle even the most seasoned veteran. But Paige didn't flinch. She staged up, hit her marks, and let her car do the talking. That takes a level of composure that you don't see every day, especially from a driver still early in her career compared to the guys she's racing. And you know what? That composure comes from preparation. Paige's team isn't out there winging it. They've studied data, fine-tuned that ProCharger setup, and worked on consistency. When you watch Paige's car make a pass, you notice how smooth it is, how planted it looks compared to others that might be bouncing or struggling to keep the front end down. That's the difference between a team that's just showing up and a team that's showing up prepared to win. Fans at Maple Grove also got a taste of just how wild these unfinished business events can be. Unlike the NPK season where the clocks are off and mystery surrounds the times, here the curtain was pulled back. Everyone could see the 3.70s lighting up the board. Everyone could see the speeds crossing 200 miles per hour. And with that transparency comes excitement, but also pressure. You can't hide when the world knows exactly what you ran. Paige wasn't just racing Murder Nova, she was racing the clock, the crowd, and the critics. And she silenced them all in one pass. Now, let's give credit where it's due. Murder Nova was absolutely flying. A 3.70 at 207 miles per hour is no joke. That's a pass that could have sealed the deal in almost any other final. But drag racing is the ultimate what-if sport. What if you get a little loose? What if the tire shakes? What if your opponent runs just clean enough to steal it? That's exactly what happened here. Murder Nova was the quickest car, but Paige was the better racer in the final moment. That's why drag racing will never just be about ETs, it's about execution. What makes Paige's win so compelling is that it wasn't a fluke. She didn't luck into the finals. She worked her way there, beating tough competition, and then delivered under the brightest lights. That's why fans are buzzing about her right now. They know this isn't a one-off. This is a sign of things to come. She's proving that she belongs in the conversation with the best of the best. And let's be honest, beating Murder Nova for $40,000? That's the kind of statement win that sticks in people's minds for a long, long time. Looking ahead, this victory is going to change how other racers see Paige. Before, maybe some veterans thought of her as the new kid with potential. After Maple Grove, that narrative is gone. Now she's the driver who took home the cash and the bragging rights at an event where all the excuses were stripped away. No one can say, well, we don't know what she ran. Everyone knows. And they know she can run with the fastest out there. That changes everything on the starting line. So, race fans, this is a turning point. Paige Coughlin's win at the Unfinished Business event isn't just a highlight, it's a foreshadowing. She's hungry, she's capable, and she's already beaten legends under pressure. The only question now is, how far can she go? If you ask me, Maple Grove was just the beginning of a career that's about to get a whole lot louder.